the biggest advice I would give is choose every day to do one small
Mhm.
thing.
I'm Dr. Teresa A. Smith, Dr. TAS, and welcome to this edition of Talk with TAS. Today I have Ally Dalsimer. Am I
Dalsimer. Yep.
Dalsimer with me?
Mm-hmm.
And Ally is an award-winning author. She's a life coach. She's an environmental advocate. And today we're going to talk about her journey. And she's going to help us to explore what it means to love ourselves and, perseverance, and how do we transform our lives. This is the second month of 2025, and it's like some folks have already fallen off the New Year's resolution wagon, and then some people like, I don't do resolutions, but I want to be a better version of myself. So today we're going to talk about how does that happen and what role self-love plays in it. So Allie, it is so good to see you in person.
Thank you. It's wonderful to see you as well.
And I think we got the memo since we both have on black.
Oh,
So we got the
well, there
memo.
we go. All right. I
That's going to
forgot
be
my
a
red
great
jacket,
time.
though. Next time I'll remember.
Next time, next time. So, Allie, you've accomplished so much in your career and your personal life. Can you share a defining moment where you realized your dreams and goals were truly worthwhile and how they would shape you shape your journey?
Yeah, you know, that's a recent thing for me. That's really very recent. And I would have to say it was probably when I was running for office, and there were a lot of factors that were influencing my personal and professional development during that time. Um, my job had been eliminated by the previous Trump administration, and we had gone through COVID, and I decided to run for office, and we were all in that isolated bubble, and my mother became very ill. She ended up hospitalized for several weeks. She ended up coming to live with us rather than go to, a hospice type
Mhm.
facility, and all while still campaigning. My daughter was going through kind of a depression. She's a very extroverted person, so high school by video remote was not really her thing.
Mhm.
And fast forward a little bit, coming out of that, in the healing process of that, part of that healing process was waking up one day and realizing that I was living alone for the first time in, I don't know, 35 years, something like that. It's a long time. And really, I mean, there was one morning, and I couldn't figure out why I needed to get out of bed. Like, why did I need to get out of bed? I had to figure it out. And finally, I got out of bed because my cat was hungry.
Mhm.
So that was good. But that was really a turning point, because that began a healing journey that started with me um, turning back to these notes and this guidance that I had originally started for my children after my husband, their father, died. Um, some life advice, and it got put to the side with, days get
Right.
busy,
Yes.
and I pulled it out and read it, just absorbed the messages. And for me personally, like some people, they want to read just a long, powerful, emotionally moving journey or tale or biography, and that for them is it. For me, like, I can get a lot of meaning from a fortune cookie. It's
Mhm.
just those
Mhm.
few words, and I am able to internalize that message in a way that is personal to me and meaningful to me. And so that's what these little notes were. And I ended up developing that into this longer format and sent it to the kids. And anyway, that was the origin of the book and how it
Mhm.
started. But that really was, if I had to pick a single moment, it was probably that moment, that day when I just was trying to figure out why to get out of bed. Um, but the whole thing probably was a process that lasted the better part of a year till I finally found what I where I need to be now. And those were the steps that put me onto the path that I'm now following, this journey that I am now following. And that, that's only been a couple of years. So it's recent for me.
Well, Alex, thank you for sharing all of the things that were happening. And as I was listening to you, I was thinking multiple things. But what I want to zero in on is that morning when you were reflecting, why do I need to get out of bed? I
Mm-hmm.
think that's you've been very vulnerable with us. It's like, why do I need to get out of bed? What is my motivation now? Because as you indicated, it's first time in 35 years, you were at your home by yourself, so you didn't have to do something for someone else, but the cat, but the cat. And thank goodness for the cat, because that was your lifeline, is the way I see it. And so you said that you're where you need to be now. I want you to sit with that for a moment. You're where you need to be now. For some people, I don't know why I get out of bed, even though I'm getting out of bed every day. I don't know why I'm doing all this stuff, and I don't understand that I'm where I need to be at this moment in time. How did you get to a place where you could sit and be comfortable, understanding that you're exactly where you should be at this moment in time?
Yeah, that is an excellent question because, like so many people, I think like the vast majority of us, I got up every morning because I had something to do and somewhere to be. I had a job to go to, I had kids to get ready, I do blah, 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 whatever it was. But having stuff to do is very different from living in an authentic moment and doing what you feel you were meant to do. And I say in the moment because who knows where I'll be in 5 years or 10 years. Life can throw you a curveball. You know, I was talking with someone the other day, went to this book reading. It was a lot of fun. And we were talking on the car. We drove together, and she talked about her husband dying, but it was much more sudden than mine. It was just really sudden. My husband had cancer. We were able to prepare a little bit, and emotionally, it's still super hard. And you can't. They had plans. They were planning to do things.
Yeah.
Those all went away. That doesn't happen. So when I say in the moment, I think that's where people get lost. I think people get lost with lots of, and it's so important to make future plans. You got to have
Yes.
future plans. You got to look
What was
forward to,
something?
to, to something, to whatever is meaningful to you, as opposed to looking forward to, oh, I've got to make sure that, I get the bills paid today, and I've got to make sure that, oh, I've got this report at work, or, this test I have to study for at school, or whatever it is that are these short-term, you know, quadrant
Mhm.
that are timely and may or may not be important, that pressure us, which is where we live. We all tend to live in that we got to get it done now phase. And so few of us take the time to just reflect. And, that morning that I got up for the cat, um, that began the journey of my thinking, of my introspection. I feel like in so many ways, our society is, quote unquote, advanced in so many ways with knowledge. We've got AI. It just, as an author, the research is just so much faster now. But we've lost touch with our inner selves, with who we are. And when I think back to the Greek philosophers who spent hours a day just inner
Mhm.
reflecting and thinking about the meaning of life and their purpose in life. And your purpose in life is not to go to a job because you need a paycheck so you can have fun on the weekend. That is
Mhm.
not your purpose in life. That's your
Mhm.
activity.
Mhm.
But your purpose in life, what you were meant to do. And I think that people pre Pre all the modern conveniences, were in many ways much more intelligent in terms of self-awareness and emotional well-being, even though their physical well-being may not have been as secure. And for people who are feeling a little bit lost, they're having the equivalent of their why do I need to get out of bed kind of thing, and not for my job, but like, what is my purpose in life? Taking some time to self-reflect, taking some time to really think about what it is you were meant to do. And I think the easiest way to do that is think about your regrets. What do you regret not doing? Because we all have things we wish we had done. So is there a common theme there? Or is there one big thing that you wish you had done and didn't? And then ask yourself, is it really too late? I say this in my book. Is it really too late to get that puppy? Is it really too late to take that trip? Is it really too late to earn that degree? Because it's not. And if you're honest with yourself, what holds us back is fear. Fear of the unknown, risking failure, right? Because what's the worst that can happen if you try something? People always say you'll fail, but I disagree. I disagree, Dr. Taz. I think the worst that can happen if you fail is that nothing changes and you wake up 10 years down the road and you're exactly as unhappy and dissatisfied with your life as you were
Mhm.
right now. That's the worst
Absolutely.
thing that can happen. So, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Right.
And that's how you make the change towards learning to love yourself, learning to be who you were meant to be, learning to find your purpose in life. Whatever it is, it has to be incremental, because it's the incremental steps that are lasting and permanent. It's the old yo-yo dieting,
Yep.
right? If you lose 30 pounds in a couple weeks, you're gaining all that back. It's coming back.
Yeah.
If you lose half a pound a week, it might take you a couple of years to lose the weight you want, but how long did it take you to gain that weight? You
Mhm.
know? So I think, in terms of like self-love, which you mentioned at the beginning, the biggest thing is to stop berating yourself for every little thing that you do wrong. I was horribly guilty of this, right? I was my own worst enemy, beating myself up all the time, feeling unhappy about mistakes that I had made, and just gracing myself as much forgiveness as I graced to others, because I always forgave other people for things. And so that was a big step, learning to forgive myself, and then learning to accept myself and accept that my quirks, my flaws, are just part of who I am. And you know what? I have a terrible sense of direction. I can't use technology. We just witnessed that. I can't help it. It's just who I am. It's part of who I am. And why should I feel bad or guilty about it?
So,
It's the way
so
I am
it's
made
the
and the
way it
way I'm
is.
built. So those are first two steps. And then once you accomplish those, then you can move towards, you know what? I actually really like myself. I like spending time with myself. How few of us really enjoy being alone by ourselves, not listening to an audiobook, listening to music, listening to a podcast, but just sitting, looking out a window, being calm and quiet with ourselves. My grandmother used to do that, and I never understood it. I was like, oh my gosh, no, no, no,
Mhm.
because I have to have something going on all the time. Um, but I've gotten to the point now where I can sit quite comfortably by myself and just be content and enjoy it. And I realized that that was the beginning of loving myself. I love myself now. And that is not something that a lot of us can truly say. And it's not something that I could say for the first several decades of my life. So,
Well, I want to welcome Y. Jones, and I want to welcome Isabel. I think it was Isabel that joined us. And Y. Jones said, yes, I love it. And I agree. I, my, there are three daughters. My mother has three daughters, her and my father, and I'm the oldest. And I can remember growing up, my middle sister, who was my youngest at the time, she would always be bored. I was a reader, but I was never bored.
mhm,
And I think about what you said about your grandmother. I could sit. and I didn't have to do anything. And I was comfortable in my skin. And even now, I don't have to have people around me. You know, do I get lonely? I'm sure I do, but I love my skin. I love who I am. I don't have to have anything on. No TV, no movies, no break. I don't have to have anything radio like we would switch to radio. No YouTube or nothing on, and I'm still good. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that is so important. That self love and being able, as I like to say, sit in your own skin
Yeah.
without feeling that you've got to be sitting a particular way. Now, Allie, you've shared a lot of information with us, and for some people, you've already hit ways, if they're feeling that their goals are out of reach. You've even talked about how they can, pursue their goals. But if you could narrow it down, what strategy or would you recommend for someone to stay motivated so that as they're pursuing their goals? Because you and I know, and the audience knows, it doesn't happen overnight. You use the analogy about the weight loss. I can, not make, but someone drops 50 pounds the month of February, but they're probably going to gain back 75 pounds the month of May because losing weight that quickly um, is not necessarily healthy for an individual unless it's something medical that's going on. But if ordinary people losing 50, 60 pounds within 2 or 3 months, we know that that's not healthy. And then the odds of them keeping it off are diminished. So for someone who is struggling to try to stay motivated because it takes a while to get to our goals, what strategy would you suggest for them?
Specific strategies, I think, vary by the goal and by the person because what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. And I'm not a believer in a one size fits all approach. You're a life coach, you know this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I was actually talking with someone this morning, and it's someone who's working to pursue a career that they are very passionate about and they really love, but they're facing a number of obstacles right now and really feeling demotivated, not unmotivated, demotivated because those challenges and those obstacles. But, obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And like my grandmother said, this too shall pass. And I think you've talked about, pushing through to your purpose. And your Instagram says never give up. And of course, Winston Churchill said never, 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 never give up.
Yeah.
And so the bottom line, I don't know that there's a strategy that works for everybody, but I think the message that people should try to really embrace is that life is a marathon. And if you truly want to achieve some particular end, you really want to get a specific job in an industry that is meaningful to you, or you really want to climb Mount
Mm-hmm.
Everest, or you really want to lose 50 pounds, whatever your goal is, whatever that is, I think the biggest advice I would give is choose, choose every day to do one small
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I try to do 3 things a day. That's
Mm-hmm.
because 3 is my magic
Okay.
number. But if you can do even one small thing, it's more than you've done the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do one small thing towards that goal, what if you want to, well, let's use climbing Mount Everest, okay? That's a big
Yeah.
goal. Not my goal, but that's a huge goal, So maybe the first thing you do is you make arrangements to find a friend to climb a local hill,
Yes.
a local, whatever the highest. I
Mm-hmm.
actually, there's a person I used to work with, and that one of their goals, not to Everest, but was to climb the highest peak in every state in the country, starting with
Mm-hmm.
Florida, because that's what, 2 feet, right?
Yeah.
But if you do one small thing every day, by the end of the month, you've done 30. By the end of the year, you've done 365 things. That is a lot of things that you have done to move yourself closer to your goal. And I say in the book, Lao Tzu said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I don't agree. I think the journey of 1,000 miles begins with choosing to take that step. You have to choose to take that step. You have to put your shoes on. You have to, get your hat on. You have to open the door. You have to step out the door, and you have to take that step. And if someone is feeling stuck and they are truly motivated towards that goal, they will find a way. Just one small thing. Now, the alternate is they're stuck and they can't seem to get to where they're going. Is it really their goal? Is it really something they're choosing for themselves? Because the vast majority of us, when we're, I talk about this too. When we're kids, we're told you can do anything you want. You can be an astronaut. You can be this. You can be that. And then we grow older, and they're like, "No, dude. You gotta go work at Mickey D's. You gotta get a job. Target's hiring a night clerk. You gotta get money. You gotta do this. You gotta do that." And that's all fine. We all do need jobs to pay the bills. But what happens is we lose sight of our passion, you know? And it's not that we want to be an astronaut because we actually want to be an astronaut, but the appeal of being an explorer or adventurer in some capacity is there. Or maybe we want to be a doctor or a nurse because we have an innate desire to care for other people. And maybe that translates to us becoming teachers or social workers, and we're very fulfilled. But maybe we're a nurse because our whole family is nurses, and our mom said, you need to be a nurse. But really what we want to be is an architect,
Yes.
So it's all too easy to do what other people want us to do and think that it's we who want it when it's really not. And that gets right back to that inner reflection and spending time really, really thinking about yourself and what you love doing, where your passions lie.
And I agree, Ally. And given what we've just said about, because I'm a firm believer in reflection, what role does gratitude play? Because I may have to go against the grain for what my family suggests. Like you use the example, everybody's a nurse, so the expectation is I'm going to be a nurse too, but I want to be an architect. What role does gratitude play in my personal transformation as I pursue my passion?
Yeah, gratitude is a huge factor. And I'll talk about my thoughts on that because I personally am grateful every day for every small thing. There's a saying that the person who is easily satisfied is satisfied often. And I really believe we have so much to be thankful for, and we could talk for hours on that. I do think one of the biggest obstacles, at least in terms of some of the life coaching and personal discussions I've had with folks, is how to overcome the people who are your stumbling blocks, your naysayers.
Yeah.
When you're 18 and you want to pursue your architect degree, and your mom's like, "No, you're going to nursing school," or "I'm disowning you," or "I'm not paying for it," or whatever the consequence is, or "I will just be angry with you."
Yeah.
There's a consequence usually to that, because for some reason people always think they know better what you need than you do. But you have to distance yourself from the negative people, circumstances, and locations in your life. And if you can minimize, if you can eliminate it, great. But, family mom, you can't eliminate your mom from your life.
Yep.
But if you can minimize either the time you spend or, frankly, the information you share. If you have a dream and someone keeps putting you down for it, stop sharing your dream with that person. Share it with
Absolutely.
people who support you, who bring you up, who bring you
Yeah.
joy, and who want to see you succeed in that given field. And be grateful every day that you have the opportunity to do it. Because if you just look around the world today, look at what's going on in the Middle East and Gaza. Look what's going on in, I lived in Kinshasa. I'm watching the news stuff, and I'm like, it's just heartbreaking. And so many of us are just so blessed that we live, that we're housing secure, we're food secure, we have friends, we have family who haven't all been murdered. I mean, there's just so many things to be grateful for. And I think dissatisfaction comes from wanting things that no one needs giant
Mhm.
houses and Maseratis and whatever. Nobody needs those things, and they don't really, yeah, they bring, immediate pleasure. I mean, who wouldn't want a swimming pool in their backyard?
Oh, yeah.
But but these are not life's necessities, and they don't bring you the kind of joy that is deep, lasting, and meaningful, because those come through interpersonal interactions, and through um, living an authentic life, and being grateful that we are able to do these things. And even for those who are struggling, if you're, if there, we had a ice storm on the East Coast recently, right? And people were like, well,
Yep.
thank God I'm not in California. And people in California are losing everything. And they're like, well, thank God there are people here to support me. So, without gratitude, without love and hope in your life, we can become very despondent. And that leads to a very dark place where
Mhm.
no one should have to go.
And I agree, because we really shouldn't have to go there. But also, it is so hard sometimes to show that self-compassion to us. We're taught that charity starts at home and spreads abroad. But when we actually do it, sometimes it's like charity is all out there for everybody else, but there's no charity. There's no empathy for me, that I'm empathizing for everyone else. And so I guess my question would be, to follow up to what you were just saying, is how do you balance that? Showing that compassion for yourself, even though you're having to navigate sort of murky waters sometimes, when, say for instance, your family is not supporting, or your mate is not supporting your dream. How do you still, because as you said, we got to still deal with our mothers and whomever, but how do you then still stay grounded and show yourself um, compassion as you continue focusing on your goal?
Well, I think we started this whole thing with it's not easy, and it takes time, and it takes practice. It's not like you're going to go from a place of, okay, I've decided I'm going to change my life, to boom, my life has changed. Yeah, that's not how it works.
No.
Which actually, okay, a little self promo here is why I titled the book, "It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day."
Mhm.
Because there are days when we just cannot be fabulous. There are days where we're like, you know what? I'm sitting down binging Netflix and eating
Yes.
some Ben and Jerry's, because
Yes.
that is a day that I need.
Mhm.
But you have that one day. You have that one day,
Mhm.
and they're like, okay, tomorrow is a fresh new start. Because every day actually is the maximum number of days you have left on this planet. Every day is the maximum number of days you
Mhm.
have left on this planet. If you think about that,
Yeah.
why would you waste them?
Mhm.
Wasting a day is just a tragedy, and the only person you're hurting is
You.
yourself. You
You.
know, I don't think sitting on the sofa binging Netflix and eating Ben and Jerry's one day, if I'm feeling really down in the dumps, is a waste. That is not a
Mm.
waste of a
No.
day. That is a day of recuperation,
Yep.
regeneration. And we talk about recreation. Recreation is recreating yourself. You have
Mhm.
got to take time, a little
Mhm.
me time,
Yes.
to do what you want, because you can't be all that every day. You can't be fabulous every day. It's okay not to be,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
So you have to take that time, and you have to embrace that you are a flawed, imperfect human being, but allow yourself to understand you have worth, you have value, your goals are worth pursuing. And if you were meant to achieve your goal, you will achieve it, because you were born with everything you need inside of you to achieve it. You would not have that goal if it was not already part and parcel of your being and in every cell of your being. And so, if you are really struggling and not getting your goal and feeling depressed and all the rest of it, you may need to rethink your goal. You may need to rethink, you know what? I'm not meant to be a nurse.
Mhm.
Or maybe I'm not meant to climb Mount
And
Everest,
yes.
Um, and, and if you do that, it'll work, and it'll feel right. And, I talk about right feelings being movement in the right
Mhm.
direction. If something feels wrong, don't don't do it. If your gut is screaming this isn't right, you're listen to yourself. Like,
Yes.
listen to the
Mhm.
expert on you, which is you.
You.
So that would be what I would say, because you can't be all that every day, but you'll get there. And honestly, this is all with the premise and the understanding that you don't have a chemical imbalance, because mental health is hugely important, but the reality is there are chemical imbalances, and you may need some medication.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with you, it's just a slight imbalance. And if you can smooth out the biochemical
Yeah.
aspects of your body, then your brain is free to pursue your dreams. And I'm a huge supporter of mental health and doing what's needed for mental health. And it's part of that triad, right? That mental health,
Exactly.
physical
Yeah.
health, and purpose in life. So,
Absolutely. Well, Allie, I was thinking as you were chatting, and it's okay not to be fabulous every day. Given where we are in our conversation, and I'm balancing everything, and I'm trying to discover, or I'm trying to make progress towards my goal, and I may need to shift my goal.
mhm,
So that's a key point, and that's okay because that's lessons learned, but only I will know that. And that's the importance of introspection, reflection. Excuse me. But how do I celebrate my unique qualities? Because we all have them. And I believe those are the things that make us fabulous.
mhm.
So, how do I celebrate
Well,
that?
I think that depends on you, right? The celebration for you is different than the celebration for me. I think your point, though, is we must celebrate.
Yes.
Personally, I think, I talked about doing one small thing every day.
Mhm.
When I can do, and for me, my number's three. When I accomplish my three things a day, I'm like, yes, I have done it. And I find a way to treat myself. So for me, I will, call a friend, or I'll go for a walk, or, I'll just take time off work and play with my cat, or whatever it is. There's some people who treat themselves, they like to go to the movies, or they like to go out to eat, or they like to drink a glass of wine with their lady friends, or whatever it
Mhm.
is, because what my celebration is not going to be what your celebration is, Dr. Taz. It's
Mhm.
unique. The important thing is that for every accomplishment you make, for every step forward, no matter how small, be proud of yourself. Like, no, even if you don't do anything to actually physically celebrate, understand that you have accomplished something. I talk about in the book that first day where I had to move the bar. Like, I had all these things I needed to do,
Mhm.
and I was overwhelmed. I was
Mhm.
overwhelmed. And I managed to, by the end of the day, I said I'd fed my cat, I had clean sheets to sleep in, and I had soup to eat. Because that's what I accomplished that
Yeah.
day. I played with my cat, I changed the sheets, and I made soup. That was all I did all day long. Yep, three things.
Mhm.
It's my thing. And I was like, you know what? Good
Okay.
for me. Good for me. I rock. I rock.
Mhm.
I rock. I did awesome things today. And the next morning I got up, and instead of being like, oh my God, I didn't do the paperwork, I didn't do the bills, I
Mhm.
didn't get the car done, I didn't
Yes.
do this. Instead I was like, let's do this, man. I got some fresh soup to eat. Let's get a fresh start. So, however a person chooses to celebrate, to me, doesn't matter, because as the important thing is that you love yourself, you hug yourself, and you tell yourself truly, not just say the words, but truly mean it when you say it to yourself. Good job. Like, you did it. Like, you accomplished whatever it is you accomplished. And, you know, and even if it's sitting on the sofa and doing the Netflix Ben and Jerry's thing, you know what? You
Wrong
got
with
some rest,
that?
restoring, and you have recharged your batteries. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. So absolutely celebrate everything, because so much research has shown, right? So much research has shown that positive
Yes.
reinforcement works, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
my parents' generation, it was all about berating and belittling, and you can't do this, because the thought was, if you tell them they can't do it, well, they're going to be like, ha, watch me, I can do this, which
Mm-hmm.
does work for a small segment of people. Apparently, it works well for some boys.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work at all for girls. And it doesn't really work for like the majority of people. But what does work is those positive reinforcements and rewards for incremental goals. You know, it's like my son took Taekwondo, and I remember my dad saying that he had taken karate, and there was no celebration until you got to black belt. And when you got your black belt, then you had a celebration. Well, kids today with Taekwondo, it's like, okay, you got your half a stripe, you got your half yellow stripe, woohoo! You got your rest of your green stripe, you got this, and then hey, you got your belt, and it's like 10 steps to get each belt up. But man, those kids, they're motivated. They want that stripe. They
Mm-hmm.
want to achieve. They want to break that board. They want to hit that kick. They want to do whatever it is they need to do because positive reinforcement works. And who is going to cheerlead you if you don't cheerlead
Mm-hmm.
yourself? You need to be your own best cheerleader and pat yourself on the back. Give yourself that little yellow tape or whatever it is that motivates you, gold star, or I don't know. Everybody's reward system is different, right? Find
Absolutely.
what works for you. Find what is meaningful for you in terms of truly feeling like you're rewarding yourself and not a self-destructive reward. Not, oh, I'm going to go out and buy a $200 purse
Yeah.
because that is not sustainable for the vast majority of us.
Yeah.
That's not a reward. A reward for these incremental goals is something that's intangible mostly. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's, maybe you spend some money because you're going out, for lunch with a friend or something. But mostly it shouldn't be about gifts. It shouldn't be about material goods because
Mm-hmm.
those lose meaning fast and it's not sustainable and it's also not meaningful.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, a pocketbook is not meaningful. It's
Mm-hmm.
really not. What's
Yeah.
meaningful is a hug from a friend. That's meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be how I would answer your question, which wasn't exactly how you asked it, but that's my answer.
Well, thank you, Ally, for that. Our time is coming to a close. So tell the folks how they can stay in contact with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You can go to my website, which is allydalsimer.com or allydalsimer.us, and you can email me, ally@allydalsimer.org. And I would really love it if people would sign up for my newsletter. It goes out just twice a month. I don't share your name with anybody. And I provide, a little life. We've done manifesting, and we've done learning to love yourself, and we've done grief, and we've done accomplishing your goals, and we've done all these things where, it's just little life advice. And the woman who designs my website says it's 5 minutes of fabulosity.
All right
So
now.
sign up for the 5 minutes of fabulosity. It's a low bar, and I love to have you email me your thoughts, and there's a book recommendation and whatnot there. So of course I want to recommend my book. You should absolutely get my book. It's
Mm-hmm.
great. Especially if you're going through what I call periods of transition or turbulence, and you're really thinking about life and what you want to do or achieve, or starting a new job, or leaving home for the first time, or going through a divorce, or suffering through a death. And it's not a prescriptive book. It's just meant as a little boost.
Well, Ally, thank you so much for coming on today, talking with us about self-love, how we can achieve our goals, celebrating ourselves, and the little boosts, and how we can all be fabulous. It has been my pleasure to have you on my platform. I want to thank everybody who has joined us. We do appreciate your joining us also. And until next time, before you go taking care of someone else, make sure you take care of yourself first. Bye now.